Sometimes, loss leaves a void so vast, so profoundly silent, that in the echoing stillness of grief, the most unexpected, most dangerous feelings can begin to take root. This is a story about a woman trapped in the quiet museum of her past, and a young man who inadvertently awakened a desire she thought had long since died. Or perhaps, had never truly been allowed to live. It is a strange and often terrifying truth, isn't it, that the heart, especially when wounded by loss, can find solace in the most unexpected and complicated of places? Silence had become my constant, unwelcome companion after my husband, Richard, passed away. For 2 long, arduous years, our beautiful suburban Connecticut home, once so filled with his easy laughter, his vibrant presence, had become little more than a museum of painful memories and heavy, unspoken pauses. I thought, slowly, painstakingly piecing together the missing parts of my life, moving through my days in a kind of numb, protective haze. In that dense fog of grief, I hadn't truly noticed, or perhaps, more honestly, hadn't wanted to notice, that my stepson, Liam, was no longer a boy. Everything began to truly change on a seemingly ordinary evening. We were in the living room, quietly watching an action-packed movie with the predictable, requisite bits of romance woven in here and there. Liam was sitting next to me, sprawled comfortably on the large sofa, his long legs stretched out, his arms casually draped over the back of the couch, looking for all the world as though he owned the place. And it was in that unguarded, casual moment that I truly saw him for the first time, not as the boy I had helped raise, but as something else entirely. His shoulders were broader now, more defined. His jaw had taken on a new, masculine sharpness. He wasn't the awkward, gangly boy trying to find his place in a world shattered by his father's death anymore. He was, undeniably, a man, through and through. I quickly, almost violently, pushed that unsettling thought out of my head. He's your stepson, Eleanor, I sternly reminded myself, but I had no idea then how utterly, hopelessly short those reminders would soon fall. As the movie progressed, the scenes on the screen got more intense, more passionate, and Liam, seemingly unconsciously, leaned slightly to the side, resting his arm along the back of the couch, edging just a little bit closer to me. It felt as if he were about to say something significant, but he didn't. For a long, charged moment, our eyes met, locked. In his gaze, I saw a new depth, an unfamiliar intensity that settled a profound sense of unease deep inside me. Part of my mind, the rational, sensible part, tried desperately to brush it off, to normalize the suddenly charged moment. It's nothing, Eleanor, just the movie, just a misunderstanding, I told myself firmly, but my feelings, my traitorous, long-dormant feelings, weren't lying to me. During one of the more romantic scenes on screen, I felt the warmth of his breath brush lightly against my cheek. Without either of us consciously realizing it, he had moved even closer. His hand on the back of the couch was now so perilously close to my shoulder that I couldn't tell if he was about to touch me, or if my own heightened senses were just playing tricks on me. Inside, I was an absolute mess. Being this close to him, feeling this new, unspoken tension, made me incredibly uncomfortable. Yet, strangely, paradoxically, it also sent an undeniable, illicit thrill coursing through me. That feeling, that dangerous duality, terrified me to my very core. Eleanor, he said then, his voice low, a little hesitant, breaking the spell. I turned to him, my own heart racing a frantic, unfamiliar rhythm. Yes, Liam? I asked, though my voice, to my own ears, was shaky, unsteady. I just want to thank you for everything, he said, his words soft but sincere. After my dad died, you've always been here for me. You didn't have to be. I know that, but you were. And because of you, I never felt completely alone in this big, empty house. His heartfelt words hit me hard, but the undeniable, almost unbearable intensity of the moment, of his nearness, left me feeling even more vulnerable, more exposed than before. Of course, Liam, I said, forcing a smile that felt brittle, unnatural. I'm so glad you're here with me. But he didn't take his eyes off me. Me too, he said slowly, his voice sounding deeper, more resonant than I had ever heard it before. Seeing you here, Every day, it makes me feel at ease. Safe. The air between us grew heavy. Thick with unspoken, dangerous emotions. All of a sudden, he must have felt it too. Because he pulled his hand back a little then. A small, almost imperceptible retreat. But his eyes, his intense, searching eyes, never left mine. In that long, suspended moment, I didn't know what to do. What to say. My heart was pounding like a wild, trapped bird against my ribs. And my thoughts were a chaotic, jumbled mess. And the devastating truth, the truth I had been so desperately trying to avoid, finally hit me with the force of a physical blow. Liam wasn't a boy anymore. And that simple, undeniable truth, I sensed with a chilling certainty, was about to change everything. In the days that followed that charged evening on the couch, Liam seemed like a completely different person. Or perhaps, I was simply seeing him through entirely new, and far more dangerous, eyes. He talked more at breakfast. His gaze now barely leaving me as I moved about the kitchen. He had started helping around the house in a way he had never, ever done before, not even when his father was alive. "Eleanor, let me help you with that," he said one morning, when he saw me sweeping the kitchen floor. He took the broom right out of my hands and started sweeping himself. His movements efficient, strong. "I know you handle everything in this house by yourself now," he said, his eyes, when he glanced at me, fixed intently on mine. "You're just one woman. Someone needs to help you out around here." Those simple, thoughtful words both surprised and, if I'm being truly honest, oddly moved me. Later that same day, while I was cooking dinner in the kitchen, I felt Liam's eyes on me again. He was standing behind me, leaning casually against the kitchen counter, just watching me. But these weren't the kind of casual, familial looks I was used to from him. His eyes, I noticed with a fresh jolt of awareness, seemed to wander slowly over my body, my hips, my back, the curve of my neck, my hair. At first, I tried to convince myself I was imagining it, that I was projecting my own confused feelings onto him. "No, Eleanor, you're just being ridiculous. You're overreacting," I told myself firmly, but I could feel the undeniable intensity in his gaze. A physical sensation, like the warmth of a low-burning fire. And to be completely, shamefully honest, a part of me, a long-neglected part, actually liked it. It had been so incredibly, devastatingly long since I'd felt anyone's focused, appreciative attention on me like that. When Liam finally left the kitchen a few moments later, I couldn't help but go to the small mirror in the hallway. I looked at my reflection. Truly looked at it, for the first time in what felt like years. Even in my 40s, I was still, I had to admit, an attractive woman. I had a naturally slim waist, full hips, and a toned body, thanks to the regular exercise I still maintained. My light brown, wavy hair fell gracefully over my shoulders. It had been such a very long time since I'd truly looked at myself, seen myself, like this, and in that moment, as I stared at my own reflection, something new, something dormant, something dangerous, stirred deep inside me. Liam's seemingly innocent, yet increasingly bold, behavior became more obvious as the days went by. A casual, lingering touch on my arm as we passed in the hallway. A simple, yet somehow loaded, word of compliment, but I started noticing that he was, subtly yet deliberately, pushing the unspoken boundaries between us. And maybe the worst, most confusing part of it all was that I found myself, more and more, actually enjoying it, anticipating it. That night, as I lay alone in my large, empty bed, one single, persistent thought wouldn't leave my mind. Liam wasn't a boy anymore. He had grown, almost overnight it seemed, into a mature, handsome, desirable young man. But I never could have guessed, not in a million years, just how much that stark, undeniable realization would both terrify and exhilaratingly excite me. It's a precarious path, isn't it? When loneliness and unexpected attention converge, it makes one question the very foundations of the reality they thought they knew. One evening, I came home late after a long, frustrating day, and the sight that greeted me as I walked through the front door left me utterly, completely breathless. Candles, dozens of them, were flickering warmly everywhere, casting a soft, romantic glow throughout the living room. There were flowers, beautiful bouquets of my favorite lilies, on every available surface. A beautifully, elegantly set dining table, and a palpable, almost magical, romantic atmosphere. I was immediately captivated by the surprise Liam, had so obviously, so meticulously, prepared for what I only then remembered was my birthday. At first, I couldn't quite believe it was all for me. For my birthday, this level of effort, this kind of romantic detail, seemed more like something you'd do for a lover, not for your stepmother. When Liam came into the living room from the kitchen to greet me, I immediately understood why my heart was pounding so hard. He was wearing a crisp, white button-down shirt and well-fitting black trousers. I had never, ever seen him like this before, so put together, so incredibly, devastatingly charismatic. I wanted to make this day truly special for you, Eleanor, he said, a faint, nervous smile playing on his lips. Then he handed me a beautifully wrapped, flat box. When I carefully opened it and saw the dress nestled inside, I looked up at him in utter shock. It was a stunning, incredibly bold red dress, made of a soft, silken fabric, with a deep, dramatic open back and a dangerously high slit up one side. The moment I saw it, I felt both a surge of pure excitement and a profound, almost paralyzing hesitation bubble up inside me. You bought this for me? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Completely surprised. Of course, he said, his own voice now calm. Steady. It's your birthday, Eleanor, and I wanted you to wear something truly special tonight. I'm sure it'll look absolutely amazing on you, he added, his gaze direct, intense. I took the dress and went up to my room, my mind reeling. Standing in front of my full-length mirror, I felt the soft, cool red fabric brush lightly against my skin. And I experienced something, a feeling, a thrill, I hadn't felt in what seemed like an entire lifetime. As I slowly, hesitantly, slipped the stunning dress on, I realized with a jolt that I hadn't worn anything that showcased my figure so beautifully, so daringly. In years, I looked at my own reflection, and after a long moment of silent, critical observation, a slow, knowing smile spread across my face, and I whispered to myself, my voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and a strange, exhilarating excitement. This is absolutely crazy, Eleanor. You're actually dressing up for Liam. How does a heart navigate such a complex, forbidden territory, when a gesture so kind, so thoughtful, is also so undeniably, dangerously inappropriate? One must wonder about the choices we make when we finally feel seen after years of invisibility. When I finally, nervously, walked back down to the living room, Liam's eyes locked instantly onto me, and he couldn't, look away. There was no missing the raw, undisguised admiration, the desire, in his intense gaze. Smiling, a little shyly perhaps, I said, I owe this all to you, Liam. The dress is truly incredible. But I quickly looked away then, feeling suddenly, acutely flustered under the sheer, unwavering intensity of his gaze. I was right, Liam said, his voice a little hoarse, his eyes still glued to me. You look absolutely, breathtakingly stunning in that dress, Eleanor. He then gently guided me to the beautifully prepared dining table. There were 2 delicate wine glasses, and a bottle of expensive-looking red wine sat elegantly in the center. For a disorienting moment, I felt as if I had been transported into an entirely different, almost surreal scenario. This didn't feel like a simple, familial birthday celebration. This felt, undeniably, like a deeply, intensely romantic dinner for 2. As the evening wore on, over a delicious meal he had prepared himself, Liam slowly, deliberately, steered our conversation towards something much more personal, much more intimate. Eleanor, he said suddenly, his voice soft but now carrying a new, serious tone. How can a woman like you, a woman so beautiful, so vibrant, be all alone? I just don't get it. His direct, almost painfully honest words left me completely, utterly at a loss. You don't have to stay alone, Eleanor, he added, his voice dropping even lower as he lifted his wineglass to his lips. A woman like you has needs, Eleanor, and I'm here now. When Liam set his wine glass back down on the table, he never once took his intense, searching eyes off me. Eleanor, you look absolutely incredible tonight, he repeated, his voice now a low, husky murmur. I wanted this night to be truly special for you. Because you deserve it. You deserve to be happy. His sincerity, his boldness, was both terrifying and exhilarating. Liam slowly stood up from his seat then, walked around the small dining table, and came to stand directly beside me. You don't deserve to share your life with someone who clearly doesn't appreciate you. Eleanor, he said, his voice barely a whisper now. Just as I was about to speak, to protest, to say something, anything, Liam leaned in closer, his face just inches from mine. I can't hide how I feel about this. About you, anymore, he said in a raw, almost desperate whisper. And then, his lips met mine. The kiss, when it came, completely, utterly threw me off balance. I felt a surge of passion, of warmth, of a profound, undeniable connection I hadn't felt in so many long and lonely years. His hand slid slowly, possessively, down to my waist, pulling me closer to him, molding my body against his. What had started as a moment of profound shock, of disbelief, quickly, inevitably, turned into something I couldn't help but respond to. Something my own body, my own long-neglected heart, seemed to crave. Suddenly, with a jolt, the harsh reality of our situation, of what we were doing, hit me. I slowly, reluctantly, pulled away from the intoxicating kiss. Completely, utterly out of breath. This isn't right. Liam, I managed to say, my voice trembling, unsteady. Liam, I need to go to my room now. I'm sorry, Eleanor, he said, his own voice husky with emotion. But I couldn't stop myself from feeling this, from wanting this. Without saying anything else, without even looking at him again, I stood up from the table and hurried from the room, my heart pounding a wild, chaotic rhythm against my ribs. As soon as I entered the sanctuary of my own bedroom, I shut the door firmly behind me and leaned heavily against it. Taking deep, shuddering breaths, my heart was still racing, a frantic, trapped bird, and I tried desperately to piece together what had just happened, what I had just allowed to happen. The dizzying, chaotic whirlwind in my mind, mixed with the disinhibiting effects of the wine I'd drunk, slowly, inevitably, pulled me towards my bed. As soon as my head hit the soft, cool pillow, the overwhelming, conflicting emotions and the sheer, undeniable weight of the evening finally, completely overwhelmed me, and I drifted off into a deep, troubled, and dreamless sleep. But the night, as I would soon discover, wasn't nearly over yet. Sometime later that night, in the deep, profound quiet of the house, I heard a faint, almost imperceptible noise from downstairs. My eyes, heavy with sleep and wine, fluttered open, and I saw, with a jolt of renewed alarm, a shadow at my bedroom door. The door, which I must have forgotten to lock in my haste, was slowly, silently, creaking open, and in the dim, ambient light from the hallway, Liam's tall, unmistakable silhouette appeared. Eleanor, he whispered softly into the darkness of my room. My heart started pounding again, a frantic, familiar rhythm, as he quietly, deliberately, walked into the room. I know I shouldn't be here, Eleanor, he said, his voice a low, apologetic murmur as he gently closed the door behind him. But I just can't help it. As my eyes, now more accustomed to the dimness, locked onto his, a torrent of suppressed emotions, of unspoken desires, suddenly, powerfully, bubbled to the surface. I know I need to give you an answer. Liam, I said, my own voice trembling, but now laced with a raw, undeniable honesty that surprised even myself. I feel the same way about you. And I want you. As those irrevocable words finally, breathtakingly, left my lips, the mixture of profound surprise and unadulterated happiness that washed over Liam's handsome face gave me a sudden, unexpected surge of courage, of conviction. A soft, almost triumphant smile played on my own lips, and I closed my eyes for a brief, fleeting moment to gather myself, to steady my resolve. Please, I said then, my voice a soft, urgent whisper, before I lose my nerve completely. My hands, acting almost of their own accord, moved to my shoulders as I slowly, deliberately, slipped the thin straps of my beautiful red dress down. The silken fabric slid effortlessly off my body and fell to the floor in a soft, silent heap, leaving me standing there before him. vulnerable, exposed, as Liam's breath caught audibly in his throat. In his eyes, I saw a raw, palpable desire that instantly fueled the exhilarating excitement now coursing through my own veins. Without any further hesitation, Liam stepped closer to me, and our lips met again. His kiss, this time, was so full of unrestrained passion, of pent-up longing, that it felt as though the entire world around us had simply stopped, had ceased to exist. His strong hand slid around my waist, pulling me tightly, possessively, against him as the kiss deepened, becoming more urgent, more demanding. Finally, he gently, reverently, guided me toward the bed. In that single, transformative moment, all the carefully constructed, socially prescribed boundaries that had been built between us over all those years, the roles of stepmother and stepson, completely, utterly, and irrevocably vanished. I felt something then, something I hadn't truly, fully felt in over 2 long, lonely years since Richard's passing. I had, in that moment, in his arms, completely, willingly, surrendered. We had both surrendered, to each other, to this powerful, undeniable force between us. And later, as Liam, breathless and sated, laid down peacefully beside me in the quiet darkness of my room, a new, profound realization dawned on me. After this day, after this night, my life was going to take a completely, irrevocably different turn. I had just, with this young, beautiful man, my stepson, experienced a single night where I was, perhaps, happier, more alive, more truly myself, than I had ever been before in my entire life. And in that quiet, post-coital moment of clarity, I realized, with a thrill that was equal parts excitement and profound terror, that this dangerous, forbidden, yet so incredibly vital connection, was only just the beginning. It is a stark reminder, isn't it, that the human heart, especially one hollowed out by grief and loneliness, is a complicated, often unpredictable place? It can lead us to seek warmth, to find connection, in the most unexpected, most unconventional, and perhaps, most perilous of places, blurring lines we once thought were, and should be, immovable. It begs the question, when we finally act to heal an old, festering wound, are we sometimes, inadvertently, creating a new, and perhaps even deeper, one in its place? These are the complexities, the untold stories, that challenge our very understanding of love, desire, and the intricate, often messy, landscape of human relationships.